Good Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Megan McPherson. We have some breaking news this morning. The Minnesota BCA is investigating after a Richfield police officer shot and killed a man overnight. This all happening near the Best Buy headquarters off 76th Street West. Richfield police tell us they confronted a person for car prowling around 3:30 when the person ran and flashed a gun. After that, gunfire was exchanged, according to police. Right now, it is not clear who fired their weapon first. The suspect was shot and killed at the scene. An officer was also shot in the hand, but is recovering at HCMC. Developing right now in the Twin Cities, federal agents are investigating several businesses for fraud. They conducted raids at more than 20 businesses yesterday morning, including daycares and autism centers. Here's a map of where they executed those search warrants. So far, no arrests have been made. Boxes full of documents from these raids are now in the hands of federal officials. The 22 search warrants mainly targeted Somali and East African-owned businesses. According to data we've gathered, the spots raided received at least $52 million in taxpayer money for programs meant to help low-income families with daycare, and another for autism services funded through Medicaid. At the Capitol today, a proposal to fund the state's Medicaid fraud control unit could come before the House Ways and Means Committee. Attorney General Keith Ellison is pushing to add investigators to that unit. Republicans are hesitant, saying they don't trust Ellison's office to do the work. Developing at the state capitol, Governor Walz delivered his final State of the State address last night. Walz defended his record over the past 2 terms, pointing to programs like paid leave and universal school meals. He also laid out a wish list for lawmakers with just a few weeks left in the legislative session, including a broad anti-fraud package that's getting some bipartisan support. Walz said he takes responsibility for fraud in the state, but he needs lawmakers' help to address it.
When it comes to the next step in fixing this problem, the legislature has a role to play.
We can't fix everything from the last 7 years, but there is still work that we need to do.
Several fraud bills, including the proposal for a statewide Office of Inspector General, are already moving forward at the Capitol. The legislative session ends May 18th. Today at the state capitol, the House Health and Finance Committee will hear a presentation from HCMC on their finances as lawmakers try and come up with a solution to save the hospital. Multiple bills, including one that would raise the sales tax to fund it, remain tied up. Healthcare officials say rising uncompensated care has exploded and is making the situation unsustainable.
One leader said, it's like we're all sort of in the same herd, all moving toward the same cliff. It's just that Hennepin already has a foot over the cliff.
Commissioner Malcolm says shifts in federal policies and Medicaid have also increased financial strains on hospitals. This morning, new accusations against the mastermind of the Feeding Our Future scandal. And as Lou Raguse explains, she will be back in front of a judge tomorrow to address them.
A really weird development in the case of Amy Bach, the former executive director of Feeding Our Future, awaiting her sentencing hearing next month for the $300 million fraud scheme. A new filing by the prosecution accuses Bach of trying to influence reporters from her jail cell by having her son create a fake name and email address and sending the press hundreds of pages of documents she wasn't allowed to share. Prosecutors say Bach instructed her college-age son to go into her Dropbox account and download files, strip off the court exhibit stickers, and email them out under the fake name Daisy Hill. I have received emails from Daisy Hill. I haven't reported anything from it, as the materials have mostly been redundant emails and information that I've seen before. But Bach's son allegedly sent the Star Tribune much more, including more than 300 FBI witness interview reports, protected materials that were only supposed to be used in Bach's criminal case. And on a recent jail call, Bach claimed her own defense attorney and the Star Tribune's editor were coordinating on when to publish to time the story for maximum impact before her sentencing. The Star Tribune has published no such article.
Again, Bach will be in court tomorrow for a hearing to address these latest allegations. She's scheduled to be sentenced in the Feeding Our Future scheme in late May. It has been nearly a year since Melissa and Mark Hortman were assassinated in their Brooklyn Park home. Their son now sharing another story of pain and frustration he and his sister had to face. Colin Hortman says through the difficult grieving process, they also learned getting their parents' house cleaned up properly would be a fight with the city's insurance company.
The city insurance company, which is a nonprofit, but they fought us so much harder than the homeowner's insurance or anyone else did on anything. And it was really confusing and very frustrating and prolonged a already extremely difficult process.
Collins says he fought for 8 months with lawyers to get a deep clean of his childhood home. And just yesterday, he got the backing of a bipartisan group of lawmakers to get laws changed to make sure what happened to his family doesn't happen to anyone else again. Former FBI Director James Comey is facing a new federal indictment over an Instagram photo he posted of seashells, spelling out what a grand jury found was a threat against President Trump. Comey strongly denies the allegations and argues he's being targeted for his longstanding friction with the president. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Hi there. This is the second attempt to prosecute James Comey, this time in North Carolina, where the photo was taken. Comey says he's innocent and ready to defend himself. Former FBI Director James Comey waking up under federal indictment once again, this time over this post last year that Comey called a cool shell formation on his beach walk. The numbers 86, often referring to get rid of, and 47 for President Trump. A grand jury in North Carolina found Comey threatened the president's life and transmitted that threat across state lines in his post. The acting attorney general arguing the defendant here is unusual, but not the case.
His alleged conduct is the same kind of conduct that we will never tolerate.
Comey refutes that, saying he's being targeted.
I'm still innocent, I'm still not afraid, and I still believe in the independent federal judiciary, so let's go.
Comey took the post down when he started facing backlash, writing, quote, "I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence."
If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination.
Democrats slamming the Comey case that Senator Dick Durbin called a, quote, weaponized Justice Department lashing out on behalf of a vengeful president. Republicans largely backing the move.
FBI director, pretty big job, lots of power. Abuse means more for somebody at that level.
The indictment comes less than a month after President Trump fired former Attorney General Pam Bondi amid frustrations over failures to successfully prosecute his political enemies, including an unrelated federal indictment against Comey last year, accusing him of lying to Congress. A judge dismissed it, but the Justice Department is appealing. A reminder, President Trump and James Comey have long had a contentious relationship going back to the Russia election interference investigation. The grand jury in this case authorized an arrest warrant, but senior law enforcement officials say conversations underway could lead to Comey turning himself in as soon as this week. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Taking you live from New York City this morning. Today, King Charles and Queen Camilla will make their way to NYC for day 3 of their U.S. trip to attend a ceremony at the 9/11 Memorial and meet with the mayor. Yesterday, the king was in Washington, D.C., where he addressed a joint session of Congress, becoming the second British monarch to do so. In the rare speech, Charles reaffirmed the UK's special relationship with America, calling it a story of reconciliation, renewal, and remarkable partnership. His remarks come during a strained alliance due to the war in Iran, saying the leaders met in times of great uncertainty. But he underscored both the U.S. and Britain's shared democratic traditions, adding the two countries always find a way to come together.
From the bitter divisions of 250 years ago, we forged a friendship that has grown into one of the most consequential alliances in human history. I pray with all my heart that our alliance will continue to defend our shared values with our partners in Europe and the Commonwealth and across the world.
The only other British monarch to address a joint meeting of Congress was the King's mother, Queen Elizabeth II, in 1991. Now to a traffic alert you need to know about this morning. Right now, there is not much moving on Highway 280. That's because in the last few hours, all southbound lanes closed. So if this is part of your morning commute, you'll need to plan a new route through late August when MnDOT expects the road to reopen. Let's break down what crews are doing here. Northbound Highway 280 has already been closed since April 13th, so now crews are moving into the next phase. So over the coming months, they'll resurface pavement, repair bridges, fix and rebuild ramps, and upgrade drainage, all aimed at improving safety along this stretch. And if you need to map out a way around the closure, here it is. Drivers will be detoured to I-35W or I-94, along with Highway 36 and I-35E. Most cross streets will remain open, but Broadway Street will be closed. You will also see lane reductions on Energy Park Drive under Highway 280, and several ramps near I-94 and University Avenue will be shut down. MnDOT says a full closure like this allows crews to work faster and more safely, wrapping everything up in a single construction season. Turning to the Wild game now, just one win away from advancing to round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time since 2015. Minnesota with a huge win on the road last night, beating Dallas 4-2. Kirill Kaprizov responsible for 2 of those goals, breaking a franchise record for most playoff goals with 17. The Wild now lead the series 3-2 with a chance to close things out tomorrow night at home. Puck drop at 6:30, and the cheapest tickets available online right now for $285. And the Timberwolves have a chance to advance this week. Game 6 against the Nuggets set for tomorrow at Target Center. Tip-off is at 8:30. Now, you might remember this from the last few times the Timberwolves were in the playoffs. Those $20 Nas Reed tattoos that garnished a viral following. But this playoff season, the artist behind those tattoos is facing his own battle.
My name is JC, and 3 months ago, I was diagnosed with brain cancer.
We'll hear more from JC as he opens up about his diagnosis, the effect it's having, and the love he's receiving, including from Nas himself. That's tonight in the Kare 11 News Extra at 10. Stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.